Good morning. Hello. Good morning. I need coffee. Hey, how's it going? Long time no see. What's shaking, bacon? How are things? Morning. Whoa, Alice in Wonderland is in here. We've got a celebrity in the house. Wish I could say whatever. Everyone has the best day. Okay, bye, Naisa. See you later. Good luck with everything. Yeah, that makes sense. Work is crazy. I'm tired. I am tired. How are you? How's everyone's coffee this morning? Morning. They're usually when you're working. Oh, that makes sense. That happens to everybody. No stress. Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, no, of course. I'm tired too. We just had nursing home and high school Spirit Week. That's hilarious. Spirit Week for the nursing home. That's really cute. So I was packing orders really late the last 2 nights, and I'm down to the last 7 pre-orders that I have to pack, and they will all go to the post office by 1 o'clock today, and then all pre-orders will be mailed out. It's just the last 7 that I have to pack, which are the biggest ones because I need to get boxes for them. They're all orders that are 9 or more slimes. So those are the last ones that need to be packed, but everything else got packed. And then I'll just count everything and list everything for the restock on Monday, and we'll all be good. And everything from that will be mailed out probably by Wednesday. Yeah, that seems about right. Seems about right. Hi, Olivia. Hello. Should I give myself the treat of putting cookie butter in my coffee as a gift for packing so many orders last night? Yes or no? Yes, I should. Yes, restock on Monday is at 5 p.m. Pacific time for anyone who needs to know. Cookie butter in my coffee. This is the best sugar-free cookie butter, in case anyone's trying to be sugar-free like I am. It's so good. So good. It really, really tastes amazing. Cindy on a Saturday? Is that because I slept in? What was this book started? Great question, Alexa. We just started this book 4 days ago, and all of the chapters are already up on YouTube, including yesterday's, so you can catch right up. And yeah, I was up really late packing orders, Cindy. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to be late. I'm sorry. I got up at 6:30 like I usually do, and I read for a little bit, but then I was so tired that I laid back down for a few minutes and I fell asleep. And usually when I do that, I still wake up on time, but that didn't happen today. Please how? Please how what, Jen? Oh, well, you didn't. Don't apologize. You're allowed to be tired. Yeah, I am. Soup's tired. You are correct. I am soup's tired. But it's okay. All the orders are getting done. You know what I mean? Like, it's my fault because I sent Sleepy voucher. You know what? You know what? Can I call you Jack, or do you want me to call you by your username? You're right, though. But anyway, that's funny. That's funny. She's right. My body double to read. I've been meaning to, but I haven't been attached to it. Yeah, that's fair. Body double to read is good. Okay, perfect. I was just checking. Hey, Mary, how's it going? How are the babies? How's Helen? Delightful. Cookie butter coffee as a gift for packing all your orders. Hooray. She's a miracle worker. She was like, sleepy vibes, and it worked, and I slept. Everyone is good. Excellent. I love hearing that. I love it. Is everyone ready for... I can only assume that we're going to magic school today, right? I mean, like, we're already going to be on chapter 4. Hey, Anya, how are you? Are you in the car? We're already on chapter 4 and we haven't gotten to magic school yet, so I can only assume it's going to happen today. 2 perfect coffees. Someday when I'm old and I have free time, like when I'm retired or whatever, I'm going to learn how to do coffee art. Like latte art. I'm going to do that. It's like this plant is so overgrown now. Trying to get through this area is like walking through a freaking jungle because its arms are so long. Oh, cool. That's good to know, Anya. Hey, Shira. Taylor the latte boy, that's right. Classic. Yeah. Please do, Shira. Please do. Okay. So, for anyone who is a part of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Beep Boop, if you know, you know, I mailed the book to Liz, who's going to do it first to give us the card. She's going to pass it off to Becca, and then we'll move on from there. So, yeah, I want to learn how to do latte art. Yeah, I do. Very much so. It's good. So, sort of, Naisa, we're just anyone who on that first day said that they wanted to do it, we're going to send it around. I'm going to collect addresses and like give addresses to, like, I'll give an address to Becca and then Becca will send it to that person. And then, you know what I mean? From anyone who agrees to be a part of it. How did it go, Priscilla? What else do we need to know? Not well. Yeah, I tried once and it didn't go well for me either. But Shira is a pro at stuff like that, so hopefully she can teach me. Well, sure, yeah, no, you still have to drink it. Yeah. Okay, and speak of Liz, here she is. Liz will be the first person getting the Sisterhood of the Traveling Beep Boop book. She'll probably get it in a couple of days. She'll put the bookmark in after she reads it. She'll pass it on, etc. and so on. 14 years running the coffee shop gave me a lot of time to learn. It's coming Wednesday to you? Okay, fair enough. How do you know that? Do you have like that service that tells you stuff and things? And that's what it's called, informed delivery. I couldn't remember what it was called. Informed delivery. Informed delivery. All right, friends, are we awake yet? let me know if you're awake. And if you're awake, we will start reading. I guess technically it's only important if I'm awake because some people sleep through book club anyway. It's true, right? We can add you to the list. So it's not the whole book that was too spicy for TikTok. It was just 1 or 2 chapters. And so we're sending it around so that everyone can read those 2 chapters and sign the inside of the book. It'll be funny. More awake than the you. Okay, well, that's fair. You're more awake than me. Informed me my slime is lost. What? Are you being funny right now? What does that mean? Your slime is lost? It's our book club yearbook. Yeah, that's right. And what do you mean your slime is lost? I'm confused by that. No, it says it's still in LA with no updated arriving late. What? Why? I sent it priority. Well, late means they should pay us back for the shipping because priority is supposed to be 2-day mail, and here we are more than 2 days later. Post office glitches are a real thing. Yes, they are, unfortunately. All right, well, let's read and we'll figure that out later. Tale of Magic. Put in a claim, you get a refund as the shipper. Yeah, I'll need to do that. It's a bummer. Okay, we are about to enter chapter 4, which is called The Truth About Magic. My cat is obsessed with your voice, comes right over anytime he hears you. Okay, so Jack, in case you didn't know, that's because I'm a Disney princess, and I know it sounds like I'm being sarcastic right now, but I'm not sarcastic. I believe in my heart that I was meant to be a princess and be friends with all the animals. So that's what's up. Did you guys see what she said here? I just want everyone to notice that her cat came without me calling them. That's a gift. Yes. And Becca's daughter is pretty sure she saw me on a float at Disneyland. Yes. So, you know, I can also be in 2 places at once. It's extremely magical of me. Snow White. You think I'm Snow White of all the characters? Headed towards your castle. See, Ellie, Becca's daughter, thinks that I'm Sleeping Beauty, which is funny considering that I don't sleep that much, but I did sleep today. I can do the Snow White voice though. Do the Snow White voice, yeah. I don't know, my throat's a little raw. Let's see if I can do it.
Want to know a secret? Promise not to tell. We are standing by a wishing well. Make a wish into the well. That's all you have to do. And if you hear it echoing, your wish will soon come true. I'm wishing for the one I love to find me today. I'm hoping and I'm dreaming of the nice things you...
No, I lost it. Oh, I was so close. And then I lost it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's hard to do that, actually. You know, it's actually quite difficult. So you can only hold on to it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you. Look, I got a well done from Mom. Wow, look at that. She said well done. Ho, ho, ho. Well, what a treat. Thank you all for coming to my show. I'll see you later. I've been Snow White if you enjoyed this, and if you didn't, I was Sleeping Beauty. Miracles happen once in a while. Yeah. You are a pro at voices. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Mom. Thank you. Can I get your autograph as Snow White specifically? Yes. I think I could sign Snow White. Did you know that if you are a character at Disneyland, you have to sign the name the way that the character is supposed to sign it? You can't just like pick a way to sign it. But I think I could do Snow White. Yeah. Okay. But let's read, shall we? Chapter 4 is The Truth About Magic. Every evening after cleaning the library, Bristol returned to the Justice's private room on the second floor to devour another banned title. The nightly ritual was by far the most dangerous exercise she had ever embarked on. Bristol knew that she was playing with fire every time she passed the Justice's only sign, but she also knew that she had struck gold. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. It could be her only exposure to such a treasure trove of truth and ideas. If she didn't risk the consequences now, Bristol was sure that she would spend the rest of her lifetime regretting it. With the completion of each banned book, Bristol felt like another veil had been lifted from her eyes. Everything she thought she knew about the Southern Kingdom, the laws, the economy, the history, how the army was run, what the class system was, it was all shrouded with conspiracies the Justices used to preserve their influence and control. The very foundation she was raised on crumbled beneath her feet more and more with every turn of the page. The most uncomfortable part for Bristol was wondering what her father's involvement in all this malicious scheming was about. Was he even aware of the information Bristol was uncovering, or was he a leader in corruption? Were some justices kept in the dark, or did they all play a part in the deception? And if so, did that mean that her brothers would eventually become as dishonest and power-hungry as the other justices seemed to be? Her world was turned virtually upside down, but the banned titles also proved something that Bristol found profoundly comforting. She wasn't nearly as alone as she had feared. All the books in the secret room were written by people who felt and thought exactly like she did, by people who questioned information, who criticized social restrictions, who challenged the systems set in place, and who weren't afraid to make their ideas known. And for every person the Justices had successfully hunted down, there must be dozens who were still at large. Bristol just hoped the day would come when she would get to meet them. Despite the lucky discovery, Bristol was prepared for it all to end in disaster. Should she get caught in the act, Bristol thought continuing her role as the frivolous and innocent maid was her best chance at avoiding any trouble. She spent a great deal of time imagining what interaction might sound like.
What are you doing in here?
Me, sir? Well, I'm the maid, of course. I'm in here to clean.
You're not allowed in this room. There's a sign on the door that clearly states it's for justices only.
I'm sorry, sir, but the employer's instructions were to clean every part of the library. He never mentioned that certain rooms were off limits. Even private rooms get dusty. Fortunately, the library remained as empty and quiet as always, allowing Bristol to read in safety. By the end of Bristol's second month of employment, she had read every banned book title in the Justice's private library, except for one. As she retrieved the final book on the bottom shelf of the last bookcase, Bristol was consumed by a bittersweet sensation. For weeks, the secret room had been a private classroom where she got to study the most fascinating subjects imaginable, and now she was taking her final lesson. The Truth About Magic by Cecily Weatherbury. Here we go. Miss Weatherbury deserves a coffee. Curiously, unlike all the other books in the room, The Truth About Magic didn't have a file beside it. The cover was a pale violet and practically glowed in the dark chamber. The title was surrounded by an elaborate silver crest with a unicorn and a griffin on opposite sides, and the space in between the creatures was filled with winged pixies, stars, and a crescent moon. It was by far the most beautiful book that Bristol had ever come across. Of all the topics she had read in the private library, she was the least familiar with magic. She knew it was considered a demonic practice and a heinous crime, but other than the reactions to it, Bristol knew very little about magic itself. She sat at the table and excitedly opened the book to the first page.
eager to learn more. Dear friend, if this book has found its way into your hands, I hope you are reading it in a safe place. As I am sure you are aware, magic is a rather sensitive subject around the world. In most areas, possessing anything remotely related to magic is just as punishable as the act of magic. However, by the end of this book, you will learn that magic is pure as existence itself, and it's why it's worthy of the world's admiration and respect. To get a proper perspective on what I'm saying, we must first take a look to history. Thousands of years ago, humanity and other intelligent species lived in harmony with members of the magical community. We were one another's neighbors, family, and friends. We helped one another, looked out for one another, and all worked together toward the same goals of peace and prosperity. Unfortunately, all that changed when humankind began its bloody quest for world domination. Before King Champion I was crowned, the young sovereign in waiting had a wonderful relationship with the magical community. He pledged his loyalty to us, and in return, we aided his ascension to the throne. After Champion I's coronation, the king's first royal act was to establish an advisory council of high justices, and that is when history was changed forever. The high justices saw magical people and their abilities as a threat. They filled Champion I's head with lies about our intentions to overthrow him and seize control of the kingdom. They rewrote the Book of Faith and convinced the entire kingdom that our spells, charms, and enchantments were demonic practices, and that our very existence was an abomination. So, Champion I declared all members of the magical community to be witches, and criminalized magic to the same caliber as treason and murder. Eventually, the other kingdoms followed Champion I's example, and the first witch hunt in recorded history began. Across the world, all alleged witches were arrested and executed. All the unicorns, dragons, griffins, pixies, and other animals deemed magical were slaughtered into extinction, and all the good that the magical community had done for humankind was erased from history. The High Justice's plan was so efficient that it became the template for how they dealt with all conflicts in the future. Hundreds of years have passed since Champion I's reign, but the stigma against people with magical blood is stronger than ever. In recent decades, King Champion XIV changed the punishment for conjuring magic in the Southern Kingdom from death to imprisonment with hard labor, but this does nothing to salvage the innocent lives being lost throughout the world. Absolutely, Naisa. To this day, many people abandon their children or flee into dangerous territories just to avoid being associated with magic. But the very notion that magic is wrong or something to be ashamed of is the greatest misconception of our time. Magic is beautiful and a rare gift to manifest and modify the elements. It's pure and positive art form used to create something from nothing. It's the ability to help those in need. Please stop trying to join my live when I don't know you. Goodbye to whoever that was. Its ability to help those in need, heal those in pain, and improve the world around us. Magic can only be accomplished by those with goodness in their hearts, and they aren't the witches that the popular belief suggests, but rather are known as fairies, and their talents should be celebrated, not suppressed. While witches do exist, they represent a very small fraction of the remaining magical community. The wickedness in their hearts prevents witches from doing magic, so instead they practice a foul and destructive art called witchcraft. To those who commit witchcraft usually do it with disruptive intentions. They deserve the harsh punishments they receive, but their vile ways should never be mistaken for the goodness that magic offers. That's right, somebody tried to enter Madame Weatherbury's live. Extremely inappropriate. I don't know you. It may seem complicated to differentiate a fairy from a witch, but there's a simple test of the magical community that you've used for centuries. By reading a passage of ancient text aloud, a questioning fairy or witch can easily determine where they stand. Akune, Akunu, Akule, Edima, Telun, Telemun, Akitele, Akanamamman. Bristol found the phrase so amusing that she read it out loud just to hear what it sounded like. Akun, Akun, Akale, Anemane, Telemun, Talmun, Akatele, Agamemnon, she pronounced with a laugh. Did something macabre manifest nearby? Were you unexpectedly hit by a storm of locusts or a plague of fleas? Was your skin suddenly covered by blistering blemishes? If there are no visible changes to your body or the immediate surroundings, well then congratulations, you're not a witch. Apparently I'm not a witch, you guys. Now, by reading the next passage aloud, you can determine whether or not you are a fairy. Elsun, Elkun, Akele, Enama, Delmun, Dalmun, Akatele, Agamemnon. Bristol knew reading the second passage would have just as little effect on her as the first, but she enjoyed playing along with the author. It wasn't every day she took a test to determine if she had magical abilities. Alsun, Alkun, Akele, Enama, Delmun, Dalmun, Akatele, Akananman, she read aloud. Did something beautiful appear? Are rubies and diamonds raining from the sky? Has your clothing changed into something more stylish than before? If so, then congratulations, you are a fairy. If you're reading this text and it resulted in no changes to your physical or your surroundings, then it's safe to assume you do not have magic coursing in your veins. Although you are not a part of the magical community, I hope you will still support our efforts to find acceptance. And suddenly Bristol was distracted by an unexpected smell, as if someone had lit a scented candle. The small room was consumed by the pleasant aromas of lavender, jasmine, roses, and other fragrances. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw something moving, and it jerked her head in that direction. To her absolute amazement, hundreds upon hundreds of flowers began growing out of the walls all around her. Once the walls were covered, the blooms sprouted across the ceiling, the floor, through the bookcases. Bristol screamed as the phenomenon spread across the table in front of her, and she jumped out of her seat as the flowers grew from under the chair. What just happened? She asked in disbelief. Bristol knew exactly what had happened. She didn't want to admit it. After reading a passage from a book about magic, she had unintentionally transformed a dull and windowless room into a vibrant and colorful floral wonderland. There was no other explanation for the change, but she rejected the implication with her entire being. No, this is not real, Bristol told herself. It's just a hallucination caused by sleep deprivation. In a few seconds, this is all going to disappear. No matter how many deep breaths she took or how hard she rubbed her eyes, the flowers did not vanish. Bristol became dizzy, and her hands trembled as the inconvenient reality began to set in. I can't be, she thought aloud. Of all the people in the world, this cannot be happening to me. This cannot be who I am. I have enough working against me. I cannot be magical on top of all of this. Bristol was desperate to destroy all the evidence that proved otherwise. She hurried around the ground level of the library and returned with the largest wastebaskets she could find. She frantically pulled all the flowers out of the walls and the furniture, and she didn't pause until she had every petal and leaf tossed away and the justice's room was back to normal. Bristol placed the truth about magic on the shelf and dragged the wastebaskets out of the private library. She closed the wide metal door behind her with the intention of never returning, as if she could keep the truth locked inside. For several days, Bristol pretended it as if she had never found the secret room on the second floor. She told herself the truth about magic and the other banned books didn't exist, and she had never read the spell that manifested the flowers. In fact, Bristol was in such denial about the ordeal that she went straight home every night after cleaning without reading anything at all. After the very sight of another book would remind her, and she wanted to forget this. Unfortunately, the more effort she put into erasing the event from her mind, the more she thought about it. And soon it was no longer an issue of if it had happened, but of why it had happened. This has to be a big misunderstanding, she said to herself. If I was magical, or a fairy, as the author put it, there would have been signs before this. A fairy would know they were different. A fairy would have trouble blending in. A fairy would have spent their whole life feeling like they didn't belong. Shut up, Bristol. You just described yourself. In many ways, having magic in her blood did make sense. Bristol had always been so different from everyone she knew. Perhaps magic was the source of her uniqueness. Perhaps she had always wanted more out of life because deep down inside she knew there was more to her life. But why did it take me so long to find out? She asked herself. Was I completely oblivious, or has part of me known all along? And then again, I live in a kingdom that keeps all forms of knowledge away from young women. Maybe that just proves how efficiently the justices are oppressing their people. And if I wasn't a menace to society before, I certainly am now. And now that she knew the truth, it would be easy for others to figure it out too, or would it? Would her classmates smell it on her as easily as they smelled her other differences? Would it be possible to hide magic, or would it inevitably resurface and expose her? And if it did, would it finally give her father the right to disown her and send her away for good? The dangers were endless. Is everything okay, Bristol? Barry asked one morning before breakfast. Yep, everything's fine, Bristol was quick to respond. Well, why do you ask? No reason, he said with a smile. You just seemed a little tense lately, and I've noticed that you haven't been spending much time at the Home for the Hopeless as usual. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Oh, I've just decided to take a little break, she said. Something happened, nothing serious, of course, but I thought a little distance would be helpful. It would give me a chance to think about things and figure out what to do next. Figure out what to do next? Barry asked with concern. All right, now you have to tell me what's going on. My imagination doesn't know how to fill in those blanks. Bristol was so exhausted from worrying that she didn't have the energy to put on a show, so she told her brother a story that was as close to the truth as possible without giving anything away. I recently discovered something about myself that's like a little hard to live with, she said. Barry's eyes went large. And what is it? Well, I'm not sure that I like Charity anymore. Barry did a double take at his sister's odd response. You've been tense because you don't like Charity anymore? He asked. Yes, she said with a shrug. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to hide it. And now that I know, I'm afraid that other people are going to find out too. I'm terrified what other people might think if I'm ever exposed. But Bristol, disliking Charity isn't illegal. It's just a preference. I know, but it's practically a crime, she exclaimed. The world is very cruel to people who don't like Charity, but I think that's just because they're misunderstood. Society thinks that disliking Charity is the same as disliking kindness, when in reality, disliking Charity and disliking kindness are very different. Oh, Barry, I wish I could tell you just how different they are, because, it's truly fascinating. One of the greatest misconceptions of our time. According to the expression on her brother's face, he might have been less concerned if she had just told him the truth. Barry was looking at his sister like she was on the verge of a mental breakdown, and to be fair, she was. How long have you disliked Charity? He asked. Almost a week. And do you remember the incident that changed your mind? Yes. It all started when I accidentally covered a room in flowers, she said, forgetting to alter her story. There was a homeless woman who was feeling ill, so I filled her room with flowers to cheer her up, but it was the wrong room, a room I honestly had no business being in, so I had to throw all the flowers away before someone caught me. Right, Barry said. But prior to that moment, you never disliked Charity before, had you? Nope, not at all, she said. Before that, I didn't think I was capable of disliking Charity. Well, that settles it, he said. You just had a bad day. You should never let one day change who you are. We could never be certain of anything in life, especially if we only experience it once. We can't? Bristol asked with hopeful eyes. No, of course not, Barry said. If I were you, I would go back to the Home for the Hopeless and give Charity another try to make sure that you genuinely do dislike it, and then and only then worry about being exposed for that. Although her brother had no idea what was really bothering her, Bristol thought that he had given her excellent advice. After all, it took more than one trip on a boat to turn someone into a sailor. Maybe magic was similar. Perhaps it would take years of practice before she had to worry about her life being put in danger. And like Barry suggested, there was a chance that the whole ordeal had been a fluke and it had never really happened. Right or wrong, for her own sanity, Bristol had to find out. The following night, after she finished cleaning the library, Bristol returned to the Justice's private library on the second floor. She put her reading glasses on, retrieved The Truth About Magic by Cecily Weatherbury, and from the shelf and turned to the page with the ancient text. After a deep breath and a silent prayer, she read the incantation aloud to prove whether she was a fairy once and for all. As soon Elkun Akale Enama Delmun Dalmun Akatele Akamanan. Bristol was afraid to look and covered her eyes. At first she didn't feel or hear anything, so she peeked around the room through her fingers. Nothing appeared to have changed in the slightest, and Bristol's spirits began to soar. She watched the walls with bated breath, waiting for the flowers to materialize again, but they never came. Tears filled her eyes, and she let out a sigh of relief that turned into a long and thankful laugh. "Oh, Fairy was right," she said. "We should never let one day change who we..." Suddenly, the pages of The Truth About Magic started to glow. Bright orbs of white light slowly rose from the book and filled the dark room. As the orbs spread out and became smaller and smaller, creating the illusion of depth in every direction, soon the private library resembled a limitless galaxy. Bristol got to her feet and looked around the room in amazement. Not only had she confirmed the magic in her veins, but she never imagined she was capable of creating such a beautiful sight. The magic was transcendent, and Bristol forgot where she was. It didn't feel like she was standing in the private library anymore, but floating through her very own starry universe.
Miss Bailey, what in the name of champion are you doing?
The voice startled Bristol, and all the orbs throughout the room instantly vanished. When her eyes adjusted, Bristol saw the metal door had swung open without her noticing, and Mr. Woolstor was standing in the doorway with 2 armed guards, and all 3 men were staring at her like she was the foulest creature they had ever seen.
That's the girl I've been warning you about, Mr. Woolstor shouted and pointed a shaky finger at her. I've been telling you for months that she was up to something, but none of you believed me. You said I was mad for believing a young girl was capable of such things. Now we've caught a witch in the act.
Mr. Woolstor, Bristol said, "Wait, I can explain. This isn't what it looks like."
Save your lies for the justices, witch. You've been caught red-handed,
the librarian yelled, and then turned to the guards.
Don't just stand there. Seize her before she casts another spell.
Bristol had imagined a scenario where she was caught in the Justice's private library, but she never imagined it would happen while she was conjuring magic. Before she had the chance to defend herself further, the guards charged toward her and forcefully grabbed her by the arms. "No, please, you don't understand," she pleaded. "I'm not a witch. Please, I'm begging you, let me prove it." As the guards dragged Bristol out of the room, Mr. Woolstor snatched the reading glasses off her face and snapped them in 2.
You won't be needing these where you're going, he said. Take her away.
I thought we were going to go to magical school today, but it turns out we're going to jail. Sad. I did not think that's what was going to happen in this chapter. So sad. I have to go because I gotta pack these last orders and take them to the post office before it closes. The post office closes early on Saturdays, you guys. Yeah, jailbreak indeed, Jack. I hope anyway. That was a huge bummer. Not gonna lie, that was a huge bummer. I didn't see that coming, and it was a huge bummer. Jail on Saturday, no court till Monday. Yes, jail on Saturday, no court till Monday. It's true. Unless I finish everything, then we can have court tonight. Ooh, imagine if I finish all the counts by tonight. Wouldn't that be amazing? Oh my God, chef's kiss. We'll see if it happens. I don't know. Seems unlikely, but we'll try. I'm gonna pack those orders. I'm gonna count the slimes. I'm gonna label the rest of the slimes that weren't for the pre-order. Everything is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. All right. I will see you all later. If you ordered slime in the pre-order, it will be shipped by today, no matter what. If you are ordering slime on Monday, it will be shipped probably by Wednesday. Okay.